Season's greetings, listeners! It's that time of year again when we head up to the North Pole to help Santa fill up his sleigh. Come along and share in the merriment. Thanks for tuning in to Vaguely Scientific. Light the fireplace and grab some hot cocoa. It's that time of year again. I'm Derek, and joining me as always is Jim, the vaguely festive scientist. Hi, Jim.
I put a bunch of hot cocoa in the fire. That's a great plan.
That basically achieved nothing.
Ha ha ha! Yeah.
And we've caught up with Big A as he oversees the workshop up here at the North Pole. Hello, Big A.
Hello, hello, hello.
That was good.
Yeah, it was.
We're taking a break from filling the sleigh with toys to do the show where we answer the most whimsically inspired audience-submitted questions in a manner that we like to call vaguely scientific. But before we do that, it's time for the fun science fact of the day, Jim.
Okay. This is about the North Pole, sort of, kind of, tangentially. The Earth's axis is tilted 23.5 degrees from the ecliptic, and the North Pole always points off in the direction of Polaris, the North Star. So because of this tilt, sometimes the entire section of Earth above the Arctic Circle is just pointing away from the sun, and it's dark for several months in a row. And the same is true of the Antarctic Circle, but at the opposite time of the year. So in June, July, August, it'll be pointing away down there.
Jim, you know what you just did?
No.
You gave a space fact that I actually knew.
I guess it is a space fact. I was thinking it was an Earth fact.
Well, Polaris.
It's got the word ecliptic in there, so I guess it has to be about space.
It references a star.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, maybe we should tackle our first question for the holiday season.
Yeah.
Question 1 this week. Could you make an actual flying sleigh with enough falcons or eagles?
Like the football players, right?
That adds some more weight, so I have to recalculate some.
I mean, I was thinking of like the 70s rock band.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They probably flew on enough things.
They were flying high, all right.
They were flying high. That's good. Oh.
The Eagles did the theme song for Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Sorcerer's
Journey of the Sorcerer. Yeah.
Journey of the Sorcerer. Yeah.
Oh,
It's a great
I love
song.
that. I just love that song, even if it weren't Hitchhikers. It's so good.
Yeah. They could pull the sleigh, the Eagles of the band. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I feel like it's a matter of like what like proportions your sleigh is.
Yeah,
Like,
and
fair.
I mean, Santa's sleigh is wooden, right?
I feel like it has like steel rails, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah, but the body of it is.
Maybe it's made of space-age carbon fiber nowadays.
It could be. It's the Santa's sleigh of Theseus at this point.
Yeah. So I looked up something that I wasn't expecting to find, and that is the answer to many of these questions. It makes me laugh because it's NORAD, which, to be fair, NORAD does track Santa on a yearly basis with their radar capabilities out in Cheyenne Mountain, you know.
As they do.
So NORAD at one point released the Santa sleigh specs so that we all know.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like all of the different stats for the sleigh and for the various things in the sleigh. So the sleigh, the probable first flight was December 24th, 343 CE. Home base is the North Pole. Length is approximately 75 cc or candy canes. If you convert that to lollipops, it's 150 lollipops.
Okay.
The width is 40 cc's or 80 lps. Height 55 cc's or 110 lps. The weight at takeoff for the sleigh, just the sleigh, is 75,000 gumdrops, which I actually did the math on this one. I converted that, and that converts to approximately 113 pounds, which I think is kind of light for how big that sleigh is.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to convert it into milk chocolate chip cookies.
I should have.
That would have been good.
Yeah, that would have been a good one. But here's the thing. So the sleigh itself weighs 75,000 gumdrops, but Santa Claus clocks in at 260 pounds, according to NORAD.
Really?
So
260?
that seems light. I don't know.
260? Well, I don't know. It depends.
Yeah. I don't
Santa's
know.
a big guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like he should be at least 300. Like,
I would have thought
At
so.
least, yeah. Because
Yeah.
Santa's gonna be taller than me, and
Yeah.
also
Yeah, Santa's like 7 feet tall, ain't he?
I'm like 6 foot and like 230.
Yeah.
So and
Yeah,
that's-
yeah.
I'm not that big. Like,
No.
I'm
no.
tall, but
Yeah. So I think NORAD is taking a few liberties here because they've never met him. They've
well,
just
you
tracked
know what?
him.
Probably they just don't want to give his actual weight because that would be impolite.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
just don't. They don't want to be on the naughty list. I think is what
That's a
they're
good
doing.
point. Yeah. So the one thing I did want to add was that the weight of the gifts at takeoff is 60,000 tons. So that would be you multiply that by 2,000, and that would give you like a bunch. I don't have a calculator. Whatever 60,000 times 2,000 is. Let me Google this.
So,
Yeah.
six
That
million
is
or 60 million? Or
12.
no?
120 million is what that is. So it's a lot. An eagle can lift between 5 and 6 pounds.
Yeah.
So you're gonna need a couple of those guys.
Well, so I'm interested in falcons and eagles because I understand why we're using birds because we don't have a lot of access to flying mammals.
Yeah.
Sure.
Besides,
But-
if we did bats, then this would be the nightmare before Christmas.
I mean, that's true. And then you'd have a whole extra thing to factor in.
Yeah. Jack
but-
Skellington is lighter than Santa, though.
Yeah, for sure. But I wondered maybe if birds of prey maybe are the wrong ones to start with because if you go with something like geese or ducks or birds that fly in formation,
Oh,
it would
I
be
see.
easier to probably wrangle them.
Hmm.
And that reminded me of like James and the Giant Peach
Yeah.
lassoing seagulls
hmm
to lift the peach off of the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so that kind of led me to how many geese. I stuck with geese, but how many geese would it take to lift just a person? And I figured out the carry weight of a goose in flight is approximately 5 pounds.
Oh, okay. So it's comparable to the
So
eagle.
it's comparable to like a small eagle.
Mhm.
So
Not a giant eagle.
not a giant eagle. I don't know how much those fly. So you would need like 40 geese to lift a small person
Yeah.
at least. And 40 is even probably pretty low.
And I'm thinking that what you're going to end up with is a situation where you're not flying like the sleigh and the reindeer. It's more like an up situation where you're just tied to all
Right.
these geese flapping up.
Right.
Instead
Well,
of balloons,
yeah.
it's geese.
I mean, like the coordination of direction is going to be a challenge in and of itself. But
Yeah.
And then you got to think. So I wonder if you could get some sort of wind tunnel thing happening where it's because in essence to have a sleigh be pulled by flying animals,
Mhm.
it would have to be like a parasailing kind of situation,
Mhm.
right? And that. So I don't know. Just out of curiosity, I also looked up the highest carry weight of any known bird,
Oh, okay.
and that is the harpy eagle.
Ooh.
And they have been known to carry up to 30 pounds
Whoa.
because they will pick up sloths and some monkeys
Huh.
and eat them.
Do you know how much the eagle itself weighs?
I'm sure I could Google that real quick. I should have.
Sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, you're fine. That's a good question. And a female weighs up to 20 pounds, and a male
Okay.
weighs up to 11 pounds.
Wow. So it can carry like almost 3 times its own weight.
So
Dang.
it can carry over its But and that's why I kind of said birds of prey are a weird choice, because you're likely not going to get more than one harpy eagle to work together in trying to carry you.
Oh, that's a good point.
True. It's like trying to pull like a buggy with cats. They kind of
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
easily coordinated.
Yeah. And they might fight each other.
They might. I mean, if they're carrying any animal, it's because they want to eat it.
Yeah, I was going to say they may view Santa as prey in this scenario, and that's not acceptable.
That's not acceptable.
I feel like another thing that you could take into account too is like, is there anywhere in Santa lore where he definitely does everything all in one trip?
No, I don't think it has to, because
I feel like it's always specified that he does it in one night, but I feel like
Right.
it never says like it's always one trip. So
Yeah.
I feel like you could divide out that 120 some odd million. You know, you could make a few trips in there.
I've definitely seen interpretations where he goes and makes pit stops.
Yeah.
Because he's got to go to the bathroom too.
Right.
I mean,
well, I
yeah.
figured he just used the bathroom in like whatever house he was in.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Yeah. You got to leave milk and cookies in the toilet for Santa.
Just leave the bathroom unlocked.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not in there, you wouldn't want to lock it, I suppose, because they usually lock from the inside.
That's, I mean, by design, yeah.
Yeah. So I did follow through to the NORAD conclusions of it would take 24,075 eagles to lift the weight of the sleigh and Santa and the toys, based on the NORAD calculations. And that's assuming that each eagle can lift about 5 pounds. But if you're using like a harpy eagle, because this was a bald eagle, but if you're looking at a harpy eagle, then I guess it's going to be fewer eagles, but only maybe by like a power of 10.
Yeah.
So you're still looking at like 2 million eagles.
Too many eagles, though.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
You're leaving an up situation and becoming more of like a there's not 2 million eagles in the world. There can't be.
Well,
they're critically endangered.
I think that's
Hold on.
interesting. Okay. Well,
How many eagles are left? How many eagles are left in the world? There are an estimated 316,700 bald eagles in the lower 48 states.
Oh man, I wanted
specifically
it to be exactly
bald
2
eagles.
million, because then
It would have been
like,
amazing if it was 2
yeah.
million.
Then it's like definitely plausible Santa magic.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have to be bald eagles, though.
No, they don't. This is A to Z animals.com. So
okay. I think it's interesting that you.
the Department of the Interior agrees with that count. 316,000 individual bald eagles.
316,000. Yeah, that's significantly
That's not
fewer.
enough to fly the sled.
That's just not enough.
Yeah, that's true. I could do with more bald eagles, TBH.
I could do with more bald eagles. I think it's interesting that you keep specifying the up situation of things lifting, like hot air ballooning the sleigh, because I was kind of trying to figure out, and that's what put me on geese. I was trying to figure out pulling the sleigh so that it went like a chariot.
Okay, yeah.
Which complicates things so much more. And so that really just kind of led me down this rabbit hole of where do we see that type of vehicle? And the answer to that is nowhere. Like nothing that flies is drawn by anything.
Yeah.
So I did find it's just worth noting that Apollo's chariot is drawn by fiery horses.
Oh.
And that's about the closest I could find in mythology to anything relating to reindeer pulling a sleigh. But
I think we have to assume, based on that Santa's sleigh levitates and is then drawn. Like it could float straight up and then it has to be propelled by the reindeer.
So it's self-hovering.
That's my assumption based on what you've just told me, because you're right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just dead weight that'll be dragged in the back of the reindeer.
Right.
Although, here's the thing. It did say the NORAD specs does say that the sleigh flies faster than starlight, so it does break the light speed barrier.
Well, it would have to.
Yeah. So I mean, it's if the reindeer are pulling that hard, he could be flopping around back there loose.
I was gonna say, speaking of flaming horses, I feel like I mean, like, technically, if you were flying like a hydrogen Zeppelin, you could have like temporary flaming horses for a very brief period of time.
That's
very
upsetting,
true.
though. I don't like that method of creating flaming horses.
Yeah.
I don't like any practical method of creating flaming horses.
Yeah, only supernatural methods, please. Oh, man. Hydrogen's funny.
Well, listeners, let us know how you got your sleighs to fly.
Mhm.
But we have a second question that we want to tackle before we close out the year. And that is a very festive question. What are some unorthodox ways you could decorate a tree using the power of science?
I want to start by
Okay.
talking about something that we've already done,
Ooh.
and was widely popular for a long time. And who should come along and murder this fad but good old Charlie Brown?
Ah,
I want to talk a little bit about aluminum Christmas trees.
okay.
So for years, this was a very recent thing for me. I didn't really think much about aluminum trees. I was like, oh, that's a funny joke from the Charlie Brown thing. And for a long time, like until I was well into my adult life, I was not. I never thought to think, oh, those are actually a real thing people looked at or bought or owned. And so, like a couple years back, I looked up aluminum Christmas tree because I was like, that's got to be real. They mentioned it, and
Yeah.
Lo and behold, not only are they real, they actually look kind of awesome. They're like, I mean, they're gaudy. They're
Sure.
not handsome trees, but like a lot of the ones I saw on YouTube and on eBay, they are like, they look like, Christmas trees with the bristles, but the bristles are made up of, aluminum strands. And what you do is you buy like a light, like a light gel that you would use for like a stage light that rotates and changes the color, and it like hits the Christmas tree and it scatters it like a disco ball, and it looks kind of awesome.
I bet that it does look cool, and it might just be the oversaturation of it that kind of made it seem less in the spirit of the holidays, like, which is what Charlie Brown, of course, was talking about.
Yeah. And I looked up a lot of like, when were they popular? What was like the going? And it sounds a lot like that is literally what happened. Like they were really popular up through like 1965, which is when Charlie Brown aired, I think.
Uh-huh.
The gist of it was whatever year it was, I think it was 65, but they were really popular through 65. And then within 2 years, they basically disappeared. So sort of the going wisdom of this is that the Charlie Brown special kind of ruined aluminum Christmas trees.
It's really...
Which, I mean, as cool as they look, I don't think I'd own one. Like, I would have a really good time, like, seeing them on display at, like, Costco or something, and be, like walking up the aisle and seeing this gaudy, sparkly tree and be like, that thing is cool. But I don't know.
if they're not a staple, like, if they're not just a thing that everyone has, then it kind of lends to the idea that, like, you could do themed decorating.
Yeah.
And, like, feature that. And probably make it look even better. So so that's kind of a cool idea.
Yeah. I think the thing that sold me on the tree, because like the tree itself is just an aluminum tree. It doesn't look anything special, but seeing the light gel and seeing how it like would change the color as it rotated, and that's sort of the part that appealed to my weird monkey brain of like, oh man, this is just a sparkly toy that I could look at for a while.
Yeah, it almost has a science fiction feel to it too.
Yeah.
It's like new age.
It's very much like that sort of like this is the Christmas tree you'd see on the Starship Enterprise.
Right.
Oh dear. Well, I took this a little less
practically.
Actually, more practically than you might expect.
Actually, before I move on, can I add one thing to this?
Yeah.
Or before you move on, I should say, because I've finished. But
Go ahead.
I found out that apparently these are in somewhat high demand through collectors because they don't make them anymore. So,
interesting.
So like collectors of niche decorations and like kitschy 60s merchandise and stuff, they're kind of go for a decent sum of money. So if you've got an aluminum tree in your attic, maybe put it on eBay.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either until today. I'm so sorry. Go ahead and say what you're going to say.
You're fine. Well, so I didn't stick with. I started with decorating a Christmas tree, but I kind of opened up to just trees in general. How could you decorate an unorthodox way to decorate a tree?
Hydrogen.
And hydrogen is maybe less aesthetic, but
it doesn't last very long either because it does burn quickly.
But so the first thing I thought of was plant grafting.
Oh,
and so I looked up. I started with Christmas trees, so I looked up: could you graft other kinds of plants to pine or spruce? And short answer, not really.
Huh.
Which is kind of where, so I was like, I could just stop my whole tangent idea there. But so you can graft pine to pine, basically, through bark grafting.
Okay.
I don't know a lot about that. I'm sure there's some interesting things you could do with that. But more interestingly, I learned that pretty much any citrus trees can be grafted together, and lots of what do you call them, like angiosperm kind of plums and apricots and all of those are compatible with each other.
Interesting.
So I was kind of thinking you could do more of like a tropical kind of decoration and have a tree that just has like apricots and plums and nectarines and just like on different branches. And I thought that would be really cool.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, I dig that. And then at the end of the Christmas season, you could pick them and eat them.
And you could make like a figgy pudding or something with the dried fruits.
Yeah.
So there's that.
I mean, I don't think there's any law that says it has to be a pine tree, because I've seen people decorate like they're dead, not dead, but they're like, dead for the winter, like regular like elm trees in the front yard, or like in the South, I've seen people do palm trees. So
yeah. As long as it's in the spirit.
Yeah, I'm kind of here for the fruit tree decoration.
Fruit tree so plant grafting.
Yeah.
As a holiday tradition.
Yeah. It takes a little bit of extra effort. It's a couple years in the making, but you get there in the end.
Yeah.
This is a little bit unconventional, and I don't know if this is entirely safe, especially if there's kids involved, but
oh dear.
I wonder if you could do a kind of Christmas tree, because there are a lot of trees that naturally burning is part of their reproductive process in terms of getting the ash out there. I wonder if you could design a kind of tree where you light it on fire and that's part of the decoration, and then when it's burnt, then it's done, and then you kind of throw it away. But at least while it's there, you could have other different kinds of I don't know, similar to how you do fireworks, you could put something on there to make the fire different colors and things, and
metal salts.
They used to put candles on Christmas trees, and they stopped doing that because of fire. But if you do it outside, and
I wonder if there are any plants that smolder. For some reason, my brain immediately went to eucalyptus, but I don't think that's the case. I think eucalyptus trees explode.
Right, something that's not going to erupt
that's why
into
koalas
a large
explode.
fireball.
It is why koalas explode. Yeah.
Although I feel like if you had a bigger fireplace, you could put a flammable tree in there and have it just be.
What about a tree that's not flammable, but has so here's what I immediately thought of right this minute when you said fireplace. What about a tree that's made of wrought iron, and it's all piping, and it's a very Victorian age looking steel, and at the end of every branch is a little thing where you pipe natural gas through, and it's all gas lights.
Oh, that would be so cool.
And it's fire fountain kind of
Yeah.
thing. That's a fun idea.
It's the most Dickensian tree of all.
I thought it would be neat if you're in a place that doesn't get too cold. If you had like a barbecue pit, like an outdoor, like brick walled barbecue pit,
Oh.
you could put your like an older dying pine tree in it and light it and have it like burn as like a centerpiece for a Christmas party or something.
Yeah.
I like that.
I mean, it would have to be like a winter cookout, which I'm okay with, but nobody else seems to be on board for.
I mean, I could get behind a winter cookout.
I think it makes more sense to have a fire when it's cold than it does when it's like.
Oh, that's so
middle.
true. Yeah. That's what the point of fire is to keep you warm.
That's why we make fire.
If it's 85 degrees outside, you're already warm.
That's how we make fire.
That is why. Well, it's one of the many reasons we make fire.
So I looked at a couple things that were just out and out a bad idea to do.
Okay.
One of them was depleted uranium. It's I mean, depleted uranium just looks like metal, so it would just be shiny and ornamental. It's not as radioactive as regular uranium, so it's somewhat more safe. But after I thought of depleted uranium, and I got there because I like saying depleted uranium. But after I thought of depleted uranium, I was like, oh, well, what about a couple episodes ago? The fun science fact of the day was that Fiesta used to make uranium plates that were not super radioactive, but they did glow under a black light. So you get a bunch of like uranium glass like ornaments, and then you just shine a black light on your tree, and it looks pretty cool, I would think.
Oh yeah, and then it's just the ornaments that are.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
It's only a little radioactive.
It's only a little radioactive.
Yeah.
I was about to say, what if you... So stick with me, because I know what this is going to sound like. I was about to say, what if you rig up a tree with some kind of like electrical wire? Mm-hmm. And then I was like, oh, that is just Christmas lights.
What if you made like a Tesla coil and then like wrapped a bunch of pine, like pine branches around it so that it looked like a tree, and then it just shot sparks from the top, like millions of volts of sparks.
That also sounds like a lot of fun to do indoors.
It would make a statement, So I know we mentioned this before recording this, just in full disclosure, I suppose. But we talked about the idea of something maybe lighting using bioluminescence or something.
Oh yeah, I remember that Big A had mentioned looking up the genetic grafting, or not genetic grafting, like genetic splicing.
And the only thing that really comes to my mind, I know there are plants, there are like underwater plants that have bioluminescence, and I know that we experimented with the genes of cats at one point to make them glow in the dark. And so I wonder if we could make pine trees glow.
I mean, I don't see why not.
Yeah, and I feel like even at that point, too, it gets back to, it doesn't need to be a pine tree, I feel like, necessarily.
Oh, sure.
I feel like if you could get, like, even different, like, types of leaves to glow different colors, like, it's mission accomplished at that point.
Yeah. I think it would be interesting, and I mean, it's very possible that it's something that would be difficult to do just because like splicing a gene from a plant or from an animal into a plant might be challenging, but there, like you said, there are some glow in the dark plants. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know there are some undersea ones. I don't know if there are any like on land.
You're right.
But that can't be that difficult.
I would think that would be eminently doable. Probably very expensive.
Well, sure.
But I mean, if you're going to shell out for a glow-in-the-dark cat, you might as well go for the tree that matches.
I might want a tree before I get the cat. I don't know.
You already have a cat, so that's fair.
I do have a cat, and he does not glow in the dark.
You don't know that.
I do. I've seen him in the dark.
Oh, wait, that's right. Yes. That is how that works, yeah.
He at least does not glow in the dark at all times.
Just not when you're looking.
It's just not when I'm looking. He only glows when I'm not looking.
I was gonna say this is a completely other random science fact, but I discovered the other week that the official insect of Pennsylvania is the firefly, apparently.
Oh,
Oh,
that's wonderful because that's such a good choice
it
of
is.
Yeah.
insects.
That's you could just decorate your tree in fireflies.
Oh, well
Ah,
that gets to another thing that I wanted to say, and this is really just more wholesome than sciency.
I mean, it could be both.
But I did want to say, because we've been doing this for the past couple years, is we've been getting trees with roots still attached.
Oh, okay.
And then when we're done, we've been planting them in our yard, because my yard has a bunch of old pine trees in it that are all dying because they were planted before I was born.
Mm.
And so we're kind of replacing them. And so every year we get a tree with a bulb at the bottom.
Mm.
And something that we looked at doing was decorating the previous year's trees that are now growing in our yard
Oh.
with popcorn strings and cranberries and pine cones with like peanut butter on them.
Hmm.
And
oh.
this like feeds squirrels and birds and stuff out in the yard.
Oh.
And it's all like organic and biodegradable and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's
That's cool.
a fun little thing to do.
I really like the concept of decorating a tree with popcorn. I could never ever sit and string popcorn. But I
It's
like the concept.
tedious. It's
Yeah.
very tedious.
I gotta tell you, like, I like decorating the tree because it's not because everything is on a string already. If I had to make the string and also hang the string, I would be like, maybe I'm gonna get different decorations this year.
I feel like the lightning bug idea was a real winner. I feel like you get some of those mini mason jars, and you can attach little
Yeah.
hooks on top. Like that would be awesome.
Yeah, and then you could probably I don't know what lightning bugs actually eat, but you could probably get like some lightning bug food and like drip it into the
Right.
container.
Well, you know what's neat about lightning bugs is you could get like a few little twinkle lights and it would like attract them, and then probably you
Oh.
could spray like sugar water or maybe there's pheromones, I don't know,
Oh.
that would like kind of attract, and then you don't even have to have them attached. They would just like swarm it,
Yeah.
which would be so cool.
I watched a documentary starring Sir David Attenborough.
Ah.
He
Oh, him.
Yeah, it was on Curiosity Stream. I forget what it was called, but it was all about like bioluminescent creatures. And he had like a lightning bug flashlight where
Ah.
he like turned it on and it flashed in the correct pattern that made all of the other lightning bugs in the forest like flash at the same time. And it was super cool. And maybe you could just get one of those.
I know that like even if you don't have one of those, if you use just like a regular light, you can, if you turn it on and then off, you can get some, like you'll get their attention, because that's how they signal for looking for mates and stuff.
Maybe they just knew they were on TV and they were like, "Oh, we're going to be on TV with David Attenborough. Let's be on our best behavior here."
I mean, who wouldn't flash David Attenborough if they could be on TV?
That's not getting edited out.
I didn't think it would. It was funny.
It was funny.
Uh,
The other thing that I was thinking of was like, what if you just made a tree out of glass? Like, I don't know how hard that would, like, I guess if you did it in sections, because I was thinking, I was sort of really stuck on the aluminum tree thing for a while. Not stuck, but
Okay.
like I was obsessing over it for like a few hours. I was like, oh, this is interesting stuff. But I was like, what would the modern equivalent of like an aluminum tree be? And I don't know why, but I was thinking like a full size, like made of glass Christmas tree that I don't know. It'd have to be like it. You couldn't blow a single solid 7-foot tree, right? You'd have to do it in sections, right?
well, how detailed does it have? Because if it's just vaguely tree shaped, that would be easier.
Vaguely
it's-
tree shaped.
Vaguely tree shaped. But like the more detailed you get, the more fine glass work would have to be involved, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, I'm sure the end result would be really pretty.
yeah. Especially if you put a light inside of it, maybe with a color changing gel.
Whoa.
I feel like if you were doing a design that was like a general like upward cone that was kind of like that simple Christmas tree style, like I feel like you could do that.
Yeah.
Like it would take a while, but it wouldn't be as difficult as like, because blowing glass, if you're talking about blowing glass, that would just be, you need enough of it.
Right. Yeah.
And a lot of air.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could probably do like a. Can you blow glass with just like a compressor?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I don't think that's super outside of the ordinary, because depending on what kind of thing you're doing, because I don't know, most of the glass blowing I see is at like Renaissance fairs and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like very old school, but like I'm pretty sure there's more sophisticated technology nowadays.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say that's there and on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood are like the two places I've actually seen glass blowing.
I saw a guy make a horse in I think it was in Venice.
Was it a full-size horse?
No, it was not a full-size horse, but it was nuts how like there was this glass blower guy and he just was like, I'm gonna make a horse now, and he just like tapped his stick on the little metal plate a couple times, and like it was like, that's not, you're just like hitting the hot glass on, and then he holds it up and it's a horse, and it looked amazing, and I don't know how that happened.
That's like the Bob Ross effect of like, all right, Bob Ross, or it's like, all right, I'm Bob Ross, and now I'm going to put a cabin in the corner. It's like, you've ruined the painting.
You've
and
ruined
then, like,
the painting.
3 strokes later, it's a perfect log cabin.
Oh, Bob, the joy of painting is the most stressful show for me.
I know, right? It's like relaxing. Oh my gosh, what have you done? Relaxing.
You know, one thing, this is like getting more off topic now, but one thing that really annoys me is when you're seeing those painting like time-lapse videos, but the guy's doing it upside down, and then at the very end they flip it over, and I'm like, that's the stupidest way to like have a reveal something at the very end. Like,
yeah, just like, show us the finished product if you're going to do that.
Yeah, like, why are you making it harder on yourself? Just paint it right way up.
Just because they're trying to impress you with their skill, I guess.
I'm not
I don't
impressed.
Know. As a visual artist myself, I think the end result is fine, and you should just take your time with it and don't try to be fancy.
Yeah. Oh, you know what I always loved was have you ever seen those videos where they do like, I guess they're mostly always like planets and stuff, but it's the spray painting where they get
those are neat.
I like those. I don't even understand it a lot of the time.
There's a lot of it. It's all stuff I want to try, and it's like spray paint's expensive.
Yeah, and it's so fast that I'm like, what's even happening? Can't do a Christmas tree though because they're not round, unless
I don't know about spray painting a Christmas tree.
Oh, hey, spray painting a Christmas tree, like a really cool like graffiti-esque, like I don't know, that would be kind of like a cool grunge Christmas tree.
That I could actually try. I mean, it would be. You wouldn't want to do it to a living tree.
No. But if you go to like Walmart or like somewhere and get like a cheap like plastic tree.
I might actually try that.
Yeah. And then put a light gel with different colors.
And then get the light gel. Get the light gel, everybody.
Buy a light gel after this podcast. Actually, that reminds me. This is not exactly under the purview of this question because it is a thing that is real and people buy. But my grandmother had a little tree. It's probably like 3 feet tall that she had in the other room, and it was fiber optic, and all the little and it had a color changing light gel.
I've seen those, and now they have programmable Christmas tree lights. Matt, what's his name? Matt. I can't remember his name, but the guy who does stand-up maths. But he has a Christmas tree with programmable lights, and there's a video where he has his viewers send in code that he runs through the programmable lights, and he's like, I haven't tested these codes, and he sees what the lights do.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's kind of neat.
Yeah, I have a couple not programmable, but they're like LED strips that you can use a little remote to change the color of and stuff. So those are pretty cool, and they're easy to get.
Yeah, well, that's in the purview of the power of science.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not quite in the vague realm.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel bad because those are things that have already been done, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to push the envelope here.
We were trying to push the envelope. I don't know. I feel like we came in strong with our
Depleted
grafting
uranium.
and our depleted uranium.
Firefly tree. And I really want to see that now.
I like the firefly
Yeah,
tree.
I'm down
Yeah.
with that one. The other one that I think would be kind of cool is like if you had a tree that had all of the different so. When I was in California, I got a chance to see the Griffith Observatory. And
Okay.
I really liked, they had a wall that was the periodic table, and it was these little plexiglass, I don't know what they were made out of, but they were see-through. So I just default to plexiglass. But they were these
Sure.
little clear containers that had like a sample of each element in like the periodic table. It was like a whole wall here.
Whoa.
And like what if you got little glass balls that had like each element of the periodic table, except maybe some of the dangerous
Oh,
ones.
Except maybe.
Like maybe you don't need uranium. I'm just saying.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, it's like a themed tree. Like people make their trees like themed on something. Like sometimes they do like all animal ornaments, or like they do fruits and vegetable ornaments, or what have you, you know.
Yeah.
You have your periodic table.
My one aunt used to have a tree that was like 2 feet tall that was always decorated in Pez dispensers.
Aw,
Oh,
that's cute.
neat. I
Yeah.
like that.
She had like hundreds of them at her house.
So you know the little, they're real popular now. The gnome decorations. That's like the little gnome that's a hat and his little nose sticking out, and then most of it is the hair from the beard.
Oh,
Yeah, I've seen
okay.
those.
Like the ones from Gravity Falls.
Like the ones from Gravity Falls. So I don't know. I feel like I've seen this trend over the past couple of years, is that gnomes are really popular. But I saw a tree that was that. They put a big stocking hat on top of the tree and then like had a little nose, and it was like the pine branches were the beard.
That's pretty good, actually.
That was kind of neat looking.
Somebody out there has decorated their tree in Funko Pops. I'm sure. I've never seen it, but I guarantee you. And somebody else out there has decorated their tree entirely in Minions. Haven't seen it. Guarantee it happened.
Oh, don't tell Kelly. She won't.
Don't ask me how I got here, although I'm sure you can guess, but I'm now on the IMDb page for the movie Sherlock Gnomes. Apparently starring Johnny Depp.
That movie was
A movie.
I watched it.
You
I
did?
did watch it. Yep. I like gnomes for some reason. I don't like garden gnomes. I just am interested in the mythology of gnomes.
Gotcha.
And so I did watch that movie.
I always thought that it would be interesting if somebody just had, this is not scientific or anything of value for this episode, but
Okay.
just a blank tree, just an empty pine tree in their living room.
I mean, I do that.
You don't put anything on it?
Well, it depends. Like, we'll decorate it Christmas Eve.
Oh, okay. I'm talking about just like nothing.
For the whole
Yeah,
time.
it's just a tree.
I mean, it's not too far off from houseplants.
Yeah, it's literally just that at that point. But
Yeah.
I think that would be really funny.
If you like the smell of pine,
Yeah.
it's good.
Actually, what would make it even better / worse is if it was an artificial tree.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, because you're getting real trees out there, so you're actually doing
Right.
something like useful. But no, you just
I don't know about useful.
I mean, you're planting them.
True.
Just a blank artificial tree.
This is just, you have it up year round.
feel like this is normally just my tree. In December,
Yeah.
it's my Christmas tree.
Yeah. I get a kick out of the people that do, like, I've seen one or two, like, in my general area here and there, I'll see them. But people who have, like, they leave the tree up, but then they'll change what's on it for the year. So, and this is usually
neat.
like somebody has it in their front yard, like it's a bush or something they decorate. But like you see, they change the color of the lights, like for Valentine's Day, they're all red lights all of a sudden, or maybe they have like heart little bulbs on them or something. And then like for like St. Patrick's Day, they're all green, and for like Easter, they're like white and pink and stuff like that. Like, and then sometimes they'll put like ornaments on them that are like, oh, it's a bunch of, hearts for the Valentine's Day one or something. I think that's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the patience to do all the decorating all the time. But
That's fair.
I like the end result though. It's always fun to look at.
Yeah. I always hate packing it up, actually, is my least favorite part. Putting it up, I get excited because I'm like, oh, yeah, it's the time for the Christmas tree. This is like a fun thing to do. And then putting it away is like, oh, it's all over now.
Yeah.
Well, then it's just work.
Well, the problem is there's no, like, season after Christmas. It's just, like, cold.
Yeah.
Now we got to start the year over.
Yeah.
Yeah. February is like the Monday of months.
And then you got to wait till October for the next good holiday.
I mean, Arbor Day is pretty cool. You could put up a tree for Arbor Day.
You could put up a tree for Arbor Day. Why don't we have Arbor Day trees? I mean, we do, but
it's because no one knows when Arbor Day is.
It's true. That is, and we've talked about this.
Yeah, I always thought it was in September, and it's not.
It's not.
I'm sure you could come up with a lot of holidays that you could decorate something for. Like, there's obviously the big ones. Like, you have your Easter and your like, Thanksgiving and your like 4th of July and stuff. At least if you're American, you have the 4th of July.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. You could find something in August. August has no holidays, but there's got to be like National Ice Cream Day or something that you can dip into.
It just doesn't have major holidays. You can find a holiday in there.
National Christmas Tree Day is in the middle of August for some reason.
Yeah. All right, listeners, let us know, where should we get our colored light gels for Jim?
Yeah.
And Jim, do we have any listener mail this year? This week?
This year, yes.
This year, yes. I'm going to say that again. I'm going to.
Okay.
Jim, do we have any listener mail this week?
Well, no. But if you want to send us listener mail, you can email us at feedback@vaguelyscientific.com. You can comment on our blog. You can like us on Facebook. You can tweet at vaguelysci. And I should clarify, we got listener mail, but in lieu of reading anything this week, we do have many of our panelists have sent in little holiday greetings that we are going to air for you, because we like to round those up at the end of the year.
Yeah.
To start off the January of boringness off correctly. So let's go ahead and play back some of our fun holiday messages.
Hey, Joe here. From Christmas to Kwanzaa and Hanukkah to good old Boxing Day. There are so many holidays to celebrate this time of year. So from me and mine, to you and yours, happy holidays.
Merry freaking Christmas!
5 gold rings. Ba-dum-bum-bum.
We hope you have a vaguely merry, happy, and/or joyous winter holiday of your choice.
Hey. Hi. Yeah, you. Come here. It's your friend Justin. Happy Yuletide.
And Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Mm-hmm. And thank you very much for sending those in, everybody who we work with on a semi-regular basis. And if you have a question that needs to be answered in a vaguely scientific manner, you can email us at questions@vaguelyscientific.com. If you want to get our episodes the minute that they're released, you can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcast, Google Play, and all the other fun places that podcasts like to hang out. And subscribing and leaving feedback really helps us out, and so does telling your friends.
Yeah, and tell them Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, too.
Yeah. If you tell your friends, we're the gift that keeps on giving every 2 weeks.
Yeah. Every other Wednesday.
And speaking of gifts that keep on giving, don't forget to check out our merch store over at vaguelyscientific.threadless.com. Not only can you help to support a podcast you listen to, I was going to say your favorite podcast, but I'm not going to assume.
I will.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, listeners, but
I do.
in order to get through the slog that is January, February, March, at least in the northern hemisphere, it's going to be winter here. At least down in Australia, it's summer for you guys. But in order to get through the slog of winter, you could get a fun thing from the store. It's got cool stuff.
Jim, can I ask a question?
Please.
When this comes out, will it be too late to do any last-minute Christmas shopping?
Yes.
Yep, because
Don't tell
when this
them that.
comes out, Christmas will be this weekend.
Yeah. Although, I don't know what the shipping is. I don't know. Check the site. You never know.
Yeah.
Besides, there's no rule that says you have to give a gift on the 25th. This could be like a 12th night situation.
Could be. And just, you can give a gift whenever you feel like
Yeah. I know what 12th night is.
12th night of Christmas.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, on the
12th
12th
night
day
is
of
it?
Christmas, my true love gave to me a vaguely scientific mug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you to Big A for being our guest this week.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For Vaguely Scientific, I am Derek.
I'm Jim.
And I'm Big A.
And have a very happy new year.
Toodaloo 2022.
And then I think I wrote the same thing twice here, so let me read this real quick.
Doesn't look like it.
Oh, okay. I wrote most of this in a medicated stupor.